The Protectors of the Wood podcast. Everything is at stake. The destruction of our planet is becoming real life. This podcast tells the story of misfit teenagers struggling to band together and help our world through this crisis. Episode number 17. A strange shopping expedition. New friends enter the scene. That night, Phoebe sat up late by her open window, thinking over the events of the last 2 days. The almost full moon cast a glorious silver light over the forest. The sound of crickets and the rustle of wind in the leaves made a soothing sound. But Phoebe's heart was beating fast. Her thoughts circled around her father's truly shocking disclosure. His grandfather, her great-grandfather, had died 70 years ago in the burning of Hidden Valley by an out-of-control mob. And her mother's mother had seen the fire and painted the scary picture with flames that seemed to move like real fire. Who were these people? Why had this happened? Phoebe realized that she was only beginning to understand her own family and its history and her own purpose in life. She realized she had taken on responsibilities, but had no confidence in her ability to fulfill them. She wanted to save the toy store, and her father and Sammy wanted her to try. But she could not bring herself to ask for a job where George was already working. And her father wanted her to help Abby. And Phoebe passionately wanted to partner with Abby. But what exactly needed to be done was a mystery. And to top it off, Phoebe apparently had an important ability, a sensitivity to Dreamstone, that she didn't understand at all.
I've lived in Middletown almost my whole life, but suddenly I feel like a stranger. My mother's paintings of Middletown and the forest are full of areas unknown to me, and the whole country has a frightening history I've never heard of, a history that involves my own ancestors in ways no one will discuss. These new seeds and plants come from a heritage no one ever mentioned. A heritage apparently hidden in the forest. And Dreamstone, an incomprehensible wild card, may also be part of that heritage. Abby may be an ambassador of the world, now coming to light as a source of hope amidst this tragedy of climate change. The Protectors of the Wood has to be connected to these things. And I, Phoebe Hood, am now a part of it too. But what can I really do to help? A splendid moon is rising, and the forest seems to glow in the starlight. It's such a wonderful world. But what can I do?
Phoebe felt she had been asleep only a few minutes when she heard a knock on her door.
Wake up! It's after 9 o'clock. Glenda's picking us up in half an hour. We've got a big day coming.
Just like Mom. Why did I promise to go out food shopping? I hate going to the grocery store. I'll just be an extra passenger in a bad mood. But I would like to see Glenda and Tiny.
She threw on her clothes and splashed cold water on her face. Once again, she encountered her other self in the mirror.
You know, this just might be a really important day.
She grabbed a cup of coffee and sat on the front steps. Fog rose in wisps from the still shadowy forest. The rising sun beamed on the gray cliffs in the distance. The world beyond seemed very far away.
This is a view that makes sense to me. Maybe I can face the day. And to hell with Gilligan. I won't even show up.
Glenda's blue truck came down Oak Knoll Lane onto Main Street and pulled into the driveway. Phoebe slowly took her last few swallows of coffee, and leaving her mug on the steps, she walked over to the truck. Penny appeared from the backyard and climbed into the front seat next to Tiny and Glenda, while Phoebe jumped into the open bed of the pickup and sat on the large trunk, bolted to the floor behind the cab.
Hey, Phoebe, squeeze in here with us. I want to see you.
Tiny banged on the back window and Phoebe waved back.
I'm okay here. Let's go.
Glenda turned right on Main Street away from town, and in a few minutes pulled into her brother's gas station. Tiny scrambled out of the truck and ran to a tall, lean man wearing jeans and a football jersey.
Jim!
He grabbed Tiny by the hands and swung her in a circle as she screamed with delight. Slowly, he gently lowered her to the ground. He suddenly noticed Phoebe.
There she is. I heard you're back in town, Phoebe. Great to see you.
Phoebe jumped to the pavement and Jim gave her a hug. Glenda and Jim had been like cousins to Phoebe and Penny in their childhood years.
It's good to see you. I'm so excited to be here.
So, what are your plans?
Well, I'm just getting started, and I'm staying with Penny. By the way, we're having a little party in the backyard on Friday night. Dinner and everything. I hope you can be there.
Oh, I wouldn't miss it for the world. Actually, I'm helping to plan it. I'm one of the staff.
One of the staff? I didn't know it was so organized.
Oh, you'd be surprised.
This party seems bigger than I imagined.
Don't worry, we've got it. We're just glad you're back.
Phoebe noticed someone looking at her from the garage door. A teenager with long legs and staring eyes. His gaze held Phoebe's. Jim was filling the tank and checking the oil, and walked over to the driver's side window to speak to Glenda.
Okay, that'll be $200. But don't worry, I'll put it on your tab.
Haha, Jim, it's not funny. I'm going to be a teacher and I'll be making more than you, so there. So much for you and your tab. Say hi to that recluse Jeremy. I think he lives under a car.
I'm gonna go grab a soda. I'll be right back.
Me too. Me too.
Phoebe walked to the gas station office and Tiny ran after her. She slotted some coins into the machine and 2 7-Ups clunked down the hatch. She popped open the cans for her and Tiny and stood there looking around. She noticed the usual clutter, but was surprised by a ladder leading to a loft above.
That loft and ladder looks new.
The loft covered half the office, cutting off the high windows.
There's a new room up there. And look, that guitar on the couch and the loft, that guitar can only mean one thing.
At that moment, the boy with long legs appeared at the door to the garage. He wore an odd little reddish jacket over a polka-dotted t-shirt with jeans and low black sneakers. His hands were dark with automobile grease.
Jeremy! Jeremy!
Tiny leaped into his arms.
No, no!
But Tiny was already in the air, and he had to grab her under the arms. Tiny's 7-Up fell to the floor and began gurgling soda onto the linoleum. Jeremy quickly set her down, but dark grease handprints remained on her pale t-shirt. He picked up the can, threw down paper towels, and finally looked up at Phoebe in embarrassment. His staring eyes were shy, and he looked down and shook his head.
I'm always making a mess of things.
I thought I was the only one doing that. By the way, I'm Phoebe.
Nice to meet you. I'm Jeremy. Can't shake hands.
Well, that's okay. Are you working with Jim?
Yeah. I'm his cousin.
Tiny, now quite still, watched them with great interest.
So, are you here for a while?
Jeremy looked up with hope in his eyes.
I'd like to stay. I really would.
So, why don't you then?
Jim suddenly swung the door open.
Penny's in a hurry. Hey, you've met my cousin Jeremy. And this is Phoebe, Penny's sister. We're going to her party in a few days.
Phoebe and Jeremy continued to look at each other with curiosity and embarrassment.
Well, come on, Tiny. Got to run.
Glenda spun her wheels in the driveway, and they were heading back to town with no traffic. Phoebe sat on the trunk and enjoyed the wind in her hair, thinking about Jeremy.
If I knew you really loved me, there would be no more war. And if we're not together in this wild and crazy world, if I knew you really loved me, it would set my heart aglow. Take you with me everywhere I go. Just say once you love me. Just one kiss is all I need. It's like we're walking close together on a dark and rainy day. Is this a dream or just a lie? One burst of sunshine would light up my way. I see the world in your eyes. Just say once you love me. really loved me, there would be no more war. And if we're not together in this wild and crazy world, if I knew you really loved me, it would set my heart aglow. Take you with me everywhere I go. 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 Everywhere I go.
Thanks for listening to the Protectors of the Wood podcast. Find all our podcasts, songs, and projects on our website, protectorsofthewood.com. And to all the eco-warriors out there, remember that everyone can make a difference and every action counts.